Welcome to it, sports fans. A different ball game. I am here. I am MKT, Mbulelo Kayaletu Tinta. Good to be with you. Good to be with me. Good to be with me. That's how I feel today. I feel strong, you know? Oh, really? I mean, I'm the same as I was yesterday. I don't even know what I'm saying. Either way, welcome to it. Great show lined up tonight. I'm not alone. I've got Woude Muller. We got James Dalton on tonight, folks. So that'll be fun. That's the skip pass today. It is going to be awesome. So before we get into that, let's say hi to Woude. Woude, what's happening?
Hey! Same old, same old. What can you say? I'm tired of this.
What's that?
Yeah.
Hey, let's hear it. This is a safe space.
I'm just tired of not being able to work properly and go to a wine farm and travel to wherever, Italy or France or Mozambique.
Okay. So you got what you're saying is big problems. These are the problems. I mean,
massive problems at the moment.
I've been called emotionally repressed. So let's try. I mean, let's do it. Let's do it, right? There. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Okay. For those folks at home, that was me empathizing. Woude didn't like it. We'll get into the show.
I can't. You empathizing is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I think that was the most empathizing, whatever that's called, that you've ever been towards me. Yeah.
Okay. And so anything near your chest region? Feel anything when I was empathizing there in the left side of your chest?
I'm just gonna say yes because I feel like it's the right thing to say right now.
Oh, it's a heart. I thought maybe your heart was feeling full. This is a safe space show. Okay. Nothing. All right, folks. I tried. People have said the Mother Teresa of the 21st century. Woude says, no way. Get out of here. Take your empathy somewhere else. That was me trying. Woude, let's have a great show. I cannot wait to get going. It is going to be awesome. We're joined by the great World Cup winner, James Dalton, tonight. So the skip pass tonight, folks, a special edition. James Dalton and, of course, the lovely Woude Muller, who does not believe that empathy is needed. She's got big problems, folks. Can't go to Marbella. Can't go and party in Spain. Can't go to wine farms. And, let your problems swim in a rosé, as they say. These are Woude's problems. By the way, might let you in as to why did she fall off that stationary bike? Maybe she was at a wine farm before that. I'm not saying she was. I'm just saying it's possible. Well, I try to empathize. I tell you who I don't have to empathize is all of you at home. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to get into it. So listen, today we're going to talk a little bit about the best run teams in England, right? We'll start with that, and then we'll get into the rugby and plenty to come there. What's happening on the weekend? And plenty, I'm sure, in between Woude and James Dalton. We'll get into it. But we're going to start off with this. I'm going to get us going with what happened today. Some breaking news if you're a Premier League fan. Look, the Newcastle takeover has been called off. If you haven't read the article, if you haven't heard, if you're a big football fan, I thought, wow. Because that is a situation now that has become unworkable, right? This is like if your girlfriend catches you cheating for the third time, really the relationship's unworkable. That's where Mike Ashley is. Once it's a mistake, twice, oh my goodness, you're human, you're fallible. The third time, my God, get out of here. I got to move into my parents' house. I will do anything to get away from you. That is where Newcastle and Mike Ashley are. Or at least that's where I thought they were. I thought they were there. But clearly not. Clearly not. Listen, sometimes it takes a person cheating 8 times, as the old saying goes. 8 times a charm. 8 times a charm. Mike Ashley's been a nightmare. It's been an absolute nightmare for everybody on the Tyneside. And if you've never been to Newcastle, my goodness, it is a cathedral that is an absolute church for 50,000 every week. It is packed every week. And let me tell you, the Newcastle team has been worse than Bovril over the last 20 years. If you like Bovril, you belong in the pits of hell, by the way. That's how bad Newcastle have been. But every week, guaranteed relegation, by the way, to the championship. What are the numbers? 45, 50,000 weekly. Oh, my goodness, this relationship's been awful. So I thought to myself, okay, there must be a reason that Newcastle are always in this situation. And they really have been. Their ownership situation, I mean, are you kidding me? I don't know how much worse it can get. I just don't know how much worse it can get. So I thought, what are the best run teams? On the polar opposite, right, of Newcastle is, what are the best run teams in the English Premier League? And I thought we'd run through those. So I'm going to do the top 5 best run teams in the English League. So we'll start at number 5. Right? Look, I've given them categories where I believe these are the categories I believe they matter. Right? And I've put them in order. Boardroom, stadium, captain is the most important, right? Playing staff, and then manager, team, and then their overall mark. So at number 5, currently, look, 7 seasons, it's gonna be 8 seasons guaranteed next season with no title. Right? It's got to rest on the boardroom. Yes, you've gone out, you've secured every single noodle sponsor you can get from every corner of China, and you've got the economics right. But the boardroom's been a shambles. Under David Gill, listen, in life, you never want to be the guy who follows the guy, right? You want to be the guy who follows the guy who follows the guy. You never want to be the guy after David Gill, the greatest football administrator we have ever seen. Ed Woodward has been an absolute calamity. So boardroom, for me, Man United, a D. It's been a D for a long time. Fergie, slide. Signing, slide. Everything's been poor. You know, when did you last hear, Man United being this loose as well with stories getting out? You remember David Gill, Fergie, they used to have a tight lip on everything. Under Woodward, it's been a disaster. The stadium's an A++. Old stadium, but it's the biggest stadium in Europe. And it is, listen, it's become the theater of nightmares. But it's an absolute cathedral. It's the biggest one in England. So it's an A++. You cannot take it away. Old Trafford, absolutely a wonderful stadium for those who haven't had the chance to go there. And it is something else. Right, so no problem with the stadium. The captain, it's a joke. I mean, you spent £85 million on the guy. When I spend £85 million, you better change the game. World record defender, I think it was 80 up front. There is add-ons there. Niche. Right? And because I go by the standards of United, I don't grade on a curve. So if I'm thinking of a United captain, here's what I think. Brian Robson, Roy Keane, Peter Schmeichel. These are the captains. Nemanja Vidic. I mean, come on now. You got who? Harry Maguire. I mean, in fact, Harry Maguire sounds like a name of a guy who should be selling chips outside the stadium. He shouldn't be the captain of Manchester United. Are you kidding me? For 85 mil, I'm sorry. That's not going to work. That won't cut it. E for captain. The most important player at the club. That's why you haven't won a title in 8 seasons. Manager, a D. All right, listen, you've broken the world record for 2 players. You've got Arsenal. You spent 50 million on Fred last season. You spent 50 million on Wan-Bissaka, right? You went and spent a truckload on Bruno. A D. It's got to be a D. I mean, Ollie, for all he's done, top 4 with that kind of spending? It's not going to work. You broke the world record for Pogba. You broke the world record for Maguire. 50 million at right back. 50 million for Fred. Let's not forget what you paid for Bruno. Is top 3 what it's about? Niche. I've seen enough. I've seen enough of the roller coaster. You're a D with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. My prediction now, he doesn't make it through next season. The team, it's a D. I mean, there's holes all over the place. Goalkeeper's nightmare. Centre-back partner for Maguire, since he's your captain, nightmare. Who's the holding mid? No one knows really. Ollie doesn't know his best 11. Who's the best left wing? Does Rashford want to be at left wing? I don't know. There's holes there. Who's the box-to-box midfielder? Bruno doesn't mind carrying that. Pogba, a roller coaster. One day I'm in, one day I'm out. He's better on Instagram than he's been on the pitch over the last 4 years. Team's a D. Overall, D+. At number 4. That is Man United, number 5. At number 4, Chelsea. Listen, the boardroom's been A++ forever. It's the best. I always say, all you need is two things: deep pockets and shut your mouth. Roman Abramovich has been perfect. He's brought in his former assistant, Marina. She has been incredible. Reminds you a little bit of David Gill. Never speaks. We've seen what Chelsea have done in the transfer market. They've certainly won it thus far. That may change. City are coming. Man United are coming. They will open the checkbook. But thus far, Ziyech, right? Turbo Timo. Havertz seems to be on his way. They will get a left back. So they've done the right things so far. A++. Owner shuts his mouth, deep pocket. That's all you need. Roman's been the best owner in the last 20 years. I don't want to hear it. Stadium and E. Listen, and I'm a Chelsea fan, but it's a terrible stadium. It's small, it's old, it's archaic. There's no atmosphere. It's the change rooms are awful. Absolutely awful. Azpilicueta as a captain. Absolutely top class, has been consistent now for 7 seasons. Top end, professional, leader in the dressing room. Lampard's come out and said he has to keep him at all accounts top end. Listen, Lampard says you're professional, you're the guy. Manager C. Listen, Frank Lampard, we got to be honest. He's done a great job, but this is Chelsea Football Club. Second most successful side in the last 20 years in the English Premier League. What does that mean? The standard is to win the league. I don't want to hear excuses about no money in the transfer thing. The only reason he's better than he's at a C and not a D is that Oli couldn't match him after having spent £300 million. So incredible job, but still the standard of Chelsea is you got to win the league. You got to be top 2. You got to be pushing number 1. Still had a quality squad, didn't deliver. Tammy Abraham played too long. There we go. I've said it. Giroud should have been in earlier. It's clear. Right? Jorginho shouldn't have played as much. Should have dropped Peter Dinklage there at keeper earlier. Kepa Arrizabalaga. It's not going to work. C. Lampard. Many mistakes. It's a learning curve. I don't grade on a curve though. It's a C for Lampard. Team C. Too many holes. Left back. Keeper. Probably should have played Reece James earlier at right back. Could it be better at centre back? Perhaps. Whether it's personnel or time to change the system, we'll find out, but hasn't been good enough. The defense, along with the keeper, has conceded 8% of the goals Chelsea have ever conceded. The teams are C. Too many holes in centre mid. Still doesn't know who's his best rotation. Doesn't want to play 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle. Doesn't know. Up front, took too long to play Giroud. Tammy Abraham, is he the guy? I don't know. So, a C. I don't grade on a curve. I'm a Chelsea fan, by the way. I should say they're the best team in the country. I'm not counting the new guys. I need to see it. Listen, it's what have you done for me lately? I don't care what Werner's done in Germany. I don't care what Havertz has done in Germany. Don't care. And this isn't the Dutch league. Ziyech, you're going to have to prove it. Love them. All special players. Captain America has been the guy. Let's see how you do. Chelsea, a C. They were all right. Listen, Liverpool. Now, a lot of people will be surprised. Right? They're in 3rd place. Boardroom, A++. They've come in, deep pockets. They did the same thing they did with the Boston Red Sox. If you don't understand the story there, go and check out the Red Sox story. Fenway Sports, tremendous. John Henry and Tom Werner, A++, the best. Deep pockets, they shut the hell up. Right? Here's the money. Go and get who you need. We will do everything commercially to make as much money available, and we care about the product on the pitch. Brilliant, brilliant owners at Liverpool. It's no mistake that they've turned it around. And I give them the A++ because they took over from Gillette and Hicks. That was a car crash. So Stadium, a D. Listen, I know they talk about the atmosphere, but if you've been to Liverpool stadiums, it's a dump. It's worse than Chelsea's. It's a dump. It's old. It's archaic. They've just expanded it, but Anfield's a nightmare. It's old. It feels like it's creaking. You know how old people get up off a couch like, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's what it sounds like when you're in Anfield. It's old, it's archaic, it's outdated. It's a D. Terrible stadium, great atmosphere. I'm not going to give you marks for shouting. Captain Asim, Jordan Henderson, Football Writers Award, ridiculous, right? They can upgrade there, and no, you had Steven Gerrard before. Listen, manager and A. The only reason I give him an A and not an A++ or an A+, is he hasn't done anything that other managers haven't done. He's won a title. So has Claudio Ranieri. So he's an A. Now, if you go and defend it, different story. You go and defend it, we have the whole different story. Because we'll do this again next year, and different story. So an A, because all he's done, and it's not been historic either. He won the Champions League last season. That was the only thing they won. Lots of teams have done that. Lots of teams have done the double, by the way. So there's that, is you don't just win one trophy and you're great. Is can you do it across the board? To be A++, I need you to do a bit more. All he's done is win the league, and it's been one season. It's only one trophy that he's won at Liverpool. What must I do about that? So it's an A for now. I know people are caught up in, don't be a prisoner of the moment. He's done nothing exceptional. The team, an A. I mean, they've won a league title. They've won a Champions League in separate seasons. So they're on their way. Not the complete team. Overall, a B+. I think Liverpool are in a great place. They're well run, and they've got a culture. They've got a manager and the fans in sync. At number 2. Listen, Liverpool are on the right track. At number 2, Man City. Listen, probably the most ideal owners in the world. The pockets, every time you fill up your car, every time your car breaks down, the oil's coming from Man City's owners, right? A++. The best, doesn't get better. Very, very deep pockets. They've invested. I mean, if you want to go YouTube or Google Man City's training complex, it is the most insane thing you will ever see. I believe £500 million was spent just on the training complex. And that's going upwards. It's going this way. They're developing that even more. Absolutely state of the art. Stadium, a B, a dump. Nobody ever pitches, and it's still an old stadium. They've expanded it. Very, very nice. Remember, they took over the Olympic Stadium, but not fair. Not very nice. I've been there. No atmosphere. No good. Modern, nice, but no good. And the fans never pitch. That tells you everything. Captain, a D. Fernandinho, he's done. They don't really have a captain. Fernandinho's not the guy. He's not a captain. He's an inspirational figure in the sense that he puts it all on the line and he's a high-quality player, but no. Because once again, he's the guy after the guy. Yeah, Vincent Kompany, top 3 greatest captains the Premier League's ever seen. It's tough. Tough shoes to fill. First year without Kompany, what's happened? They've crumbled. They've fallen apart. They have fallen apart. Listen, I always say the captain, most important guy at the club. Ain't it? Manager, A++. Pep Guardiola, I don't want to explain. He's defended the title. They won the first domestic treble last year. So stop it. Anyone who wants to argue with him being the best in the league, stop. Right? Team B+. They've got lots of holes. I don't have to go through all of them. But otherwise, an A. They said to go. They'll go again. The checkbook will be open. They're back in the Champions League. Don't you worry about it. They're the second best run club in the English Premier League. And at number 1, the winners. This might surprise a few people. I've always said it. This club is set. And I don't care what you say. Long term, this is the club to be at. Love them or hate them. I don't care what you say. Boardroom, Daniel Levy, he's had a 10, 15-year plan. If you don't know what game theory is, go and Google that. Boardroom, A++. The best. The best boardroom in England. How much did they get for Gareth Bale? Christian Eriksen, a guy who's on the down, he can't even get into the Inter Milan side. Daniel Levy, murder to negotiate with. We had one of the leading agents in the history of sport on our show, John Smith. Go and look what he had to say about negotiating with Daniel Levy. Murder, nightmare. He will wring every last penny out of you for every player. Daniel Levy, I love him. Shrewd, he understands the game, and you will not cheat him. By the way, he's set up an incredible long-term deal with the NFL. They might even get an NFL team. By the way, the Jaguars might even move to London. My God, retractable stadium. The new stadium's unbelievable. A++. The best stadium probably in Europe at the moment. Maybe in world football. Right? Captain B+. Love it. Hugo Lloris, World Cup winner. I don't love him as a player, but they seem to gravitate towards him. His performances post-lockdown, unstoppable. Don't love a short keeper, but he's been great. Manager, A++. Jose Mourinho, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear outdated. Look what he's done with a broken team. Look what he's done. Mentally, they were broken. He came in. It's been incredible. Listen, Team B+, they've got a great young team. On paper, they've got a great young team. They've got the best English striker probably since Lineker and Shearer. Is he world class? I don't know, but Harry's going to get you those 20 goals a season. Overall, A+. It's the best run team, and they're the best set to go and do incredible things over the next 5-10 years. I'm not interested in everybody getting caught up in the moment and, the traditional big clubs. Get over yourself. Tottenham are ready, and they are going to launch. And they've shown, look at their sponsorships, HP, all long-term, all secured money, all upfront money. Levy doesn't muck about. Tottenham are set to absolutely take off. They're going to own their own stadium very, very soon. I've read the article about the model to pay it off. The NFL, essentially, and HP, Hewlett Packard, just those 2 sponsorships are going to pay off the stadium. Isn't that incredible? What kind of owner negotiates that? My God. Daniel Levy, absolutely love you. And as the brethren say, what a mensch. What an absolute mensch. So for me, believe it or not, and I'm not a fan, because when I was younger, I spent some time there. Some stuff happened while I was there. I don't really want to go into it. I ended up at Watford, but what a club. What a club, what an owner. And I think Tottenham, and I know the fans won't like to hear it, you are set to take over English football within the next 5 years. Love to know what people think. I would love to know what people think. So as I said, tonight, a special edition, of course, of the Skip Pass. Before I hand you over, let me see if you got a couple of questions for me, Dave. Let's see what Senzo's got to say. Senzo says, Mike Ashley is the worst guy ever. He took a good club and he has run it into the ground. Listen, I can't argue there. He's what you might call a shambles. He is what you might call a shambles. Oh, man. You know, up front, you know when it may or may not have happened to you. You ever met somebody at a barbecue or braai and you thought, oh, this person's awesome. And then they kind of come over and you watch a movie and maybe they visit 3 or 4 times and then they start to leave socks on the floor, a hairbrush with hair in it. And you think, oh, my goodness, that's the relationship they're caught in. Because up front, you must remember, he is a brilliant businessman. JD Sports, brilliant at sort of working out business. So on the surface, he looked great. You know, like every guy or girl you meet at a braai, you had a couple of drinks, they're hilarious, they're in good shape, blah, blah, blah. And then they just turn out they don't even know how to wash the dishes. You know, they're not domesticated. Oh, it's a nightmare. You know what I mean? What you see is not what you get. Mike Ashley, nightmare. Absolute nightmare. So, yeah, for me, I'd love to know what people think. Tottenham ready to take over the Premier League. Jesse Randolph says, were you expecting much more from Chelsea before the season started? I was not. So I expected Chelsea. I always expect Chelsea to win the league. By the way, those are my expectations. But I was really realistic enough. So I think Lampard's done well, but I don't grade on a curve. Chelsea have expectations. Since Roman Abramovich arrived, they're the second most successful team in England. There's expectations now. And in life, for me, never grade on a curve. Never grade on a curve, right? So we expect you to win a title, go win a title. If you don't win a title, we grade you like that. So, no, I was not expecting more from Chelsea. So, the Hoff, that's what I got to say. Senzo Tebe says, look, I hate Liverpool as much as the next person, but Henderson is a good captain, probably better than Gerrard. My gracious. All right, look, I'd like to test that long term. Because it's great when you're winning. It's great when you're winning. Everyone said Kasper Schmeichel was one of the best keepers in the world when Leicester were winning. Remember, leadership's not tested when you're winning. What happens when you're losing? What happens when the pressure comes? What happens when your fellow teammates are out of favor? What happens when their personalities come through? Because I'll tell you what winning does, by the way. It breeds egos. That's why it's so difficult to defend the title. And then you need leadership. This is why the great companies remain at the top. The leadership squashes egos. You got to squash the egos. Is Henderson capable of that? We don't know, because now we're going to see. Sadio Mane, does he handle that? Mo Salah, does he handle that? Virgil van Dijk, we've seen as a guy with a huge ego. Edison, big ego. Quality players have egos. All right, Jordan Henderson, now you're the guy. Remember, it's different to be the hunted. Now you're the hunter. Right, we've all seen the lion documentaries. 1 in 5 male lions makes it to adulthood. It's a brutal life to be the hunter. It is a brutal life to be the king. Folks, heavy is the crown. You know the old saying, heavy is the crown. Heavy is the crown. Jordan Henderson, we'll see. Steven Gerrard, listen, he wore that crown for a long, long time. Big pressure, especially to be a local lad. I don't agree, but Senzo, great point. The guy's won. The Rig says, MKT, you are so good at impressions. Can you do us a Karen ordering a steak? Oh, my gracious. Am I good at impressions? I don't know if this is somebody stitching me up, but I imagine it would go somewhere like this. Excuse me, where's the manager? I've been waiting forever. It's my daughter's birthday. My daughter, she's 21. She's 21. She's here with her boyfriend. He's from Germany. Yeah. Excuse me, we're over here. The lighting here is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And listen, where do you get your steak? Is it grass-fed? What kind of grass? Because I went to Canada. They've got the best grass. Do you guys get Canadian grass here in South Africa? Because we love to travel. We only ski in Canada. It's the best. I'm telling you, if you haven't, I'm sorry you're poor. I'm sorry you're poor. Do you have sirloin? Because listen, my husband actually owns all the sirloin in South Africa. I imagine it would go something like that. I hope you weren't stitching me up, but I imagine it would go something like that. Listen, we'll make this the last one because we got to hand over. And any questions, remember, I can always answer in future episodes. So we'll go back to the Mr. Randlehoff. The Hoff will make yours the last one, and I will hand over to our special guest and Woude Muller. Jesse Randlehoff says, dream on about Spurs. Half the team wants to leave. They just built a new stadium, and they're not making money now with COVID. Their plans are all delayed. Their coach is past his best. Look here. Let me tell you something. And Jesse, I believe you are an Arsenal fan. So let me tell you something that they did different to Arsenal. They got all of their sponsorship money up front, number one. They got guaranteed money from the NFL. Do you know what they did? Is they got the NFL, by the way. I remember reading the article. The NFL has paid for their stadium to have a retractable playing surface so that the NFL, of course, they have 2 or 3 games a season in London. They are now the NFL stadium. So when you say that the fans aren't going to be there, no problemo. The Hewlett Packard sponsorship and just the NFL money, right? Upfront money, guaranteed money, that's going to pay off their stadium. Unlike Arsenal, who had to pay off the stadium themselves off revenue. Right? So a spade, let's compare spades with spades. So I know maybe it's a bit of Arsenal resentment. The COVID isn't going to affect them as much. Daniel Levy has always run a tight ship. They haven't spent the Christian Eriksen money. They haven't spent that. By the way, that's in the bank. Listen, they are growing in America. You must remember, Spurs have been well run. There's something called, I'm not an economist, so I don't want to try and pretend to be, but they've been compounding on great years. They've been in the Champions League for, what is that, 3 seasons in a row. They're in Europe again. Mourinho's going for a trophy. Listen, they might win the Europa League. Are they still in Europe? Regardless, they're in Europe next season. So don't you worry about Spurs. I think it's very different. Don't compare it to Arsenal. Arsenal was in retrograde at the end of Wenger. Spurs have all their money locked in. I'll try and find the article and I'll post it on Twitter of how all their money was up front. So Jesse, I think you're an Arsenal fan. I hope that's not resentment speaking for me. The Spurs, and listen, I hate Spurs. One day I'll tell the story of my time spent there as a junior and why I had to go to Watford, but it's not at the time. Absolute nightmare of a situation. But okay. So ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we have a special episode of the Skip Pass today. A winner, World Cup winner. Of course, the hooker of that great Kitch Christie team joins the lovely Woude Muller. Today, the Skip Pass is a special edition. I cannot wait to watch. Send your comments, questions. They'll answer those after they've given us their views. Cannot wait to watch this. Ladies and gentlemen, the Skip Pass coming up after this.
Dave, I can't believe he actually did that. I have to explain myself. So the picture that was just up on the screen was me when I was competing for South Africa, being a Springbok athlete when I was younger. I think I was 13 in that picture. So I mean, Mbolelo always talks about how amazing he is and how amazing he played for all of these sports and he did all of those sports and he did everything. So I guess I can brag about myself a little bit. I had provincial colors for 7 different sports when I was growing up. Swimming, athletics, cross country, gymnastics, netball, hockey, all sorts of different things. And I eventually got my Springbok colors for biathlon, which is running and swimming. I went to world champs, also won South African Sportswoman of the Year and all sorts of things. So, Mbolelo, I think we can maybe have a match up at some point of who did it better. But I'm going to stop talking about myself and rather talk about the games of the weekend. And with me today, we have James Dalton to agree with me or disagree with me on what. Hey, what's happening?
How are you? Good to see your pretty face again.
Ha, 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 ha.
You know what? I would take that photograph that was posted as an absolute compliment, because anybody who lands up at Watford clearly lost a bet to go there.
You know, I just felt I couldn't be less than you being a World Cup winner. I couldn't be less than Mbolelo playing at Watford. So, I mean, I just had to probably, and also what Dave said is that I crashed my stationary bike. Yes, I did. I was a Springbok athlete and I fell off my stationary bike. It happens. It happens. And
the last time I fell off a bike was when I was a little boy.
This was not even on the mountain. On the mountain, I fall all the time. This is literally in here. And I had a big thing about Faf de Klerk on last night on Wednesday night about wearing his Speedo, and the only person allowed to wear a Speedo is Ryk Neethling. I'm actually going to go as far to say that Michael Phelps, probably rather than Ryk Neethling, no one else in the entire world should ever think that they can wear a Speedo. So whatever Faf did and whatever everyone else is doing.
Personally, I don't think any man should wear a Speedo.
Oh, then you haven't seen Ryk Neethling in a Speedo.
I know this is not all time. So there was once this guy parading up and down the Clifton Beach. Oh, and I just couldn't help myself. And I said to him, "Where did you buy that Speedo?" And he said, "Why are you asking?" I said, "Because I also want to buy one like that with a bump in the front."
What? Because your Speedos, you need Speedos with a bump in the front because you can't do it yourself?
Okay, no comment, buddy.
Maybe just think about those things before you go for it. Anyway.
James, how do they say? The only way you catch a fish is when it opens its mouth. So, there we go.
Exactly. Exactly. Listen,
right,
James,
so what are we chatting about?
Yeah, I know you don't like talking about the Australian Super Rugby, but we have to mention them, and we have to mention the games, up-and-coming games for the weekend. So if we just quickly have a look at that. Obviously, Australian Super Rugby competition is kind of like halfway in their pool stages now. I've got no idea why Australia decided that they need playoffs after they have a competition with only 5 teams in it. So why don't you just play it? The person who ends top of the log wins it. Why do you need 2 playoff games after that? It's just Australia would think that that's a good idea. Anyway, so
well, you know what? You want to ask the question? From stupidity is the reason the Australians are where they are. I mean, they've just really they've been non-performers. Their crowd attendances at the games have been shocking. Their performances have been shocking. I think they've lost the last 15 Bledisloe Cups. They just nowhere. I mean, talking about Australian rugby for me is like watching paint dry.
But James, you can't, and keep saying this because I do pick some of the Australian guys for my team of the week. There are some very talented players coming through. It's just such a pity that these talented players have to play in a setup like that. And I don't think it's the actual players and the actual rugby itself, I think a lot of it's coming from management at the top. A lot of it is like, it's really crappy what the management and the chairman and all of those people are doing at Australian rugby. So I'm hoping they can sort it out, because I think World Rugby, and you would know this because you would know, playing against a good Australian team, I think that rugby needs that.
Well, look, I think the one time we played Australia, we beat them by like 93 points. I was lucky they didn't get 100 against them. It would have been like a cricket innings. Yeah. But I think, yes, I think there's certainly massive issues in Australian rugby. I think probably overall management issues and the way they present in the game. I also don't think that Australian rugby should have 5 teams. I think it waters down the competition. Crowds want to go see rock stars, and I just think with 5 Australian super teams is not giving that taste to that meal at the moment, and that for me is the one thing that stands out.
Yeah. Also, what I find, I mean, all the teams have kind of played 3 matches now, so you would kind of think that they've settled into playing after COVID, playing after isolation and all of these things, but it just seems like they're not getting in the groove whatsoever. Not like the New Zealand teams did. Obviously, I don't think it's very fair to compare New Zealand to Australian teams, but this weekend we are seeing the Brumbies and the Reds playing each other. Yeah. So the Brumbies are obviously top of the log in the Australian Super Rugby. So that is on Saturday. So the Brumbies are 4 points ahead of the Reds at the moment. I can't see the Reds beating the Brumbies at this point. The Brumbies are definitely the strongest team.
Point taken, and I would agree with you on that one.
Yeah. And then the Force and Rebels, obviously the Force lost, I think 24-0 to the Brumbies last weekend. And the Rebels beat the Waratahs, which was away also, which was quite cool. So I think for me, the Rebels will also take that one. I can't see.
I have to yet agree with you, Woude Muller. I have to yet agree with you. I think that's spot on.
Yeah, no. So that's definitely, I think, what's going to happen. Not sure how interesting the games are going to be. Not sure how the Brumbies are going to do, because their set pieces haven't been amazing. That's kind of how they got to second of the log before COVID, before lockdown. But they haven't really been able to really settle into what they were before.
Yeah, I must be honest. If you look at the way the New Zealanders started their new super format, in terms of their intensity, almost reinventing the game, keeping the ball alive. They play to play again, and they play towards the ball. There's less kicking. I almost found, and not almost found, the Australians were a little bit behind on that. They were very, very slow starters, almost like with a bit of lethargy. And I must be honest, I don't watch any of the Australian games. I would rather watch Watford play Chelsea.
or the men on Clifton Beach walking around in their Speedos, clearly. Anyway.
Yes, there's. They actually do that.
Then we get to the New Zealand team. So the New Zealand is heading kind of into their home straight of a Super Rugby Aotearoa. It took me 8 weeks to say that properly. Finally, Aotearoa.
I'm not even going to try and say it.
So anyway, we've got it's a top versus bottom this weekend. The Chiefs are hosting the Crusaders in Hamilton on Saturday. The Chiefs, I think, have only made one change to their team for this weekend, and it's in the back line. I think Sean Wainu is shifting to left wing, and I think Sean Stevenson is starting on the right wing, because Alemalu is out with his dislocated shoulder after Caleb Clark fell on top of him after he scored a try last weekend. And I mean, what, for me, Caleb Clark should have been yellow carded, incited, and banned for something like that. Because now, because of his stupidity, another guy is out and another team gets disadvantaged because he injured a player after a try was scored. I thought that was such bad sportsman, and need. I don't know how you feel about that and what you think, but I think it's such a bad.
Yeah, look, I do agree with you. Sometimes, and a lot of times, you can see when there is just unnecessary physical contact that can be avoided. Then you get scenarios where, in the upright tackle, the player starts at the right level, and the opponent or the player with the ball does tend to duck down, and he does land up slipping up, and it's regarded as a high tackle. So there are always going to be those conflicting interpretations of what is malicious, what is accidental. But under those scenarios, I think you've got to look at it in real time, Bodie. It's I look, and many people still today refer to my sending off in the World Cup, and I mean, if you had a review on that, there was
You would
there was
still
no.
be sent
I
off in
mean,
the World Cup.
well, yeah, the only good thing that came out of it made me a household name.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be remembered in
But
South
yeah,
African
look,
name.
I think those interpretations are always going to be a very, very grey area, and but at the end of the day, the game happens in real time, and that is
Yeah.
what people want to see. You can't go
No.
back and interpret and review and reassess every single
No.
so-called
Yeah, but James,
grey area that occurs
no,
in the
I
game.
agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. But it's after a dude scores a try and you just go fall on top of him. Like, I mean, the guy's not
Point
braced
blank.
for a tackle. He's not, I just think it's a disgrace. It's terrible. Anyway, the Crusaders are actually, for this match, they are actually fielding quite an inexperienced pack. So Joe Moody, unfortunately, can't travel to Hamilton due to family issues. So George Bauer is starting, and they're putting Turanga Fassi on the bench, which must be a bit of a tactical move because he's been absolutely great for the Crusaders. I can't imagine why you would want to start him on the bench unless they really want to have an impact off the bench. They maybe might not bring him on too late into the game.
Well, I think now when you're getting towards this, I mean, I think there are 3 more rounds left. Maybe it's a little bit more player management. The Crusaders are sitting at 19 points, and the Chiefs at 5 points. Yes, it could be at later stages, should they lose, the Crusaders to the Chiefs, which is highly unlikely. And then I've got to add to this that for Warren Gatland, I think his whole aura and invincibility. I mean, he did. He was very successful with Ireland. He was very successful with Wales. But I think that whole Gatland invincibility and presence and belief is starting to wane a bit, and I wonder what impact that would have with the upcoming British and Irish Lions coming to South Africa. If those players are still going to hang on every word that comes out of his mouth, and that is something you've got to take into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think, I mean, if we look at actually the current log of what it looks like and of the upcoming games, I think the Crusaders playing this weekend against the Chiefs, and the current log at the moment, like I said, Crusaders on 19, Blues on 17, Hurricanes 16, Highlanders 10, and the Chiefs on 5. And those 5 points that the Chiefs have is because bonus points, because they didn't lose with more than 7 points. They lost with less than 7 points. So it's almost
that's a massive positive.
Yeah. So it's like giving the 4th place winner a chocolate because you came 4th, you can't get a medal, or you can get a chocolate or something. Anyway, so the Crusaders are only now losing to the Hurricanes last weekend. It was almost looking like, okay, great, the Crusaders are going to win. They're kind of far ahead and they've got this in the bag. Now it's kind of looking, now it's a bit more open again. If they win, obviously, and if they beat the Chiefs this weekend, they will be in a very positive position to claim the Super Rugby Aotearoa title in front of their home crowd and home fans the following weekend. They're playing in Christchurch. But now it's opening up again. And if they lose this weekend...
Look, I must be honest with you. I, for some reason, really fancy the Blues. I think they've got some great players at the moment. They're playing some really, really good rugby. If you go look at before the lockdown and the COVID-19 pandemic set in, the Blues, for me, I actually picked them to come second last in the competition. But they've got some really, really standout players in their team, and I like the style of rugby they play. They're big, they're aggressive, they play towards the ball. And the big factor for me going forward in these next games is going to be how you're going to manage yourself in terms of the breakdown. I think there's a lot of penalties at the moment in terms of the breakdown. We know how that law has changed, where a tackled player, where he falls, he must lie and place the ball. He can't do that extra roll or whatever. A lot of penalties being given for coming from the side. So, I think it's the teams that are going to be able to manage that breakdown discipline the best that are going to ultimately be the winners of the New Zealand competition.
You say that, though, and like I said now, so if the Crusaders do beat the Chiefs this weekend, if we have a look at that other log, I'm predicting that it's going to finish in like this. So our upcoming games is kind of the Crusaders are playing the Chiefs this weekend and the Blues are playing the Highlanders. The rest of the games that we have is Hurricanes, Chiefs in week 9, Crusaders, Highlanders that weekend. And then we have the Highlanders, Hurricanes, Blues and Crusaders. I haven't picked my winner for the Blues and Crusaders because I think it's a bit too far ahead. This is my prediction. So the Chiefs and Crusaders, I'm predicting that the Crusaders are going to win, so they'll get an extra 4 points. Yeah. Highlanders, Blues, the Blues will then that one. Hurricanes will beat the Chiefs. Crusaders will beat the Highlanders, especially at home. And then the last one, I'm predicting that the Hurricanes will beat the Highlanders. So if we look at this and we take these points and we add it to the current log, this is how it will end. So if we look at the log right until the end with my predictions, Dave, that's all how it will end. Crusaders on 27, Hurricanes on 24, which means the Hurricanes surpass the Blues. The Blues.
I think I'm going to swap the Hurricanes and the Blues. I think the Blues will end up second.
No. But, this is how it's going to finish. I did not count the last game. If the Crusaders beat the Blues in the last game, then they go up to 31 and the Blues still stay there. If the Blues do manage to beat the Crusaders in that last match, they will finish ahead of the Hurricanes, unless the Hurricanes get a bonus point somewhere. Then it's going to be a draw, both on 25. Yeah. So it actually, like I said, it's actually
well, you know what? Why don't we throw cat amongst the pigeons? Why don't we throw cat amongst the pigeons? And maybe this will come back and haunt me, that maybe the Blues actually end up beating the Crusaders.
In that last match?
Yeah.
It's very possible. It's very possible for that to happen. But then it still doesn't change anything to the Crusaders standings. No, sure. If there is another 100%. Upset, though, if there is another upset and the Crusaders will end up not, say, losing to the Chiefs this weekend, this is what the log will look like. Right until
so let's go. I mean, we don't want to get everybody confused. In week 9, you got Hurricanes versus the Chiefs. Who are you back into in that one?
The Hurricanes.
Are you back in the Hurricanes?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
No, Hurricanes at home. They've been playing some brilliant rugby. I like their back row. They're strong. I like their midfield. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. Well. That's why. Yeah. That's why we have these shows, to have a difference of opinion. Throw things out there. Create trigger points. Get people talking. That's what we want. That's what this show Has to be and must always be about.
Absolutely. But like I said, if this happens and there's another upset, that last match between the Crusaders and the Blues is going to be such an important game because that will determine who's really going to win. If they do happen to lose, whatever, the Hurricanes could even end up winning this whole competition. So it's actually quite interesting now. I don't know. I mean, I've got such like what Woude Muller keeps talking about is I'm giving my boyfriend 8 chances to cheat on me and keep coming back because that's what Crusaders after the Chiefs keeps doing to me. I keep wanting to believe in them and I keep wanting them to just do better. I don't know why, but this is just
you know what the life skills experts will say to you. They say when a person shows his true side once, that is his personality, and that is it.
And Molelo's mom always says that. So she's such a wise woman, clearly. No, so I keep wanting the Chiefs to do better. But the Chiefs have also, like I said, with 5 of the games, they lost us less than 7 points. Even their last match against the Crusaders, they lost with less than 7. I think they lost with 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And
they've always lost within that 7-point margin.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at all the matches that the Crusaders have played up until this point, they've had more possession, they've had more territory in every single game, except in the game that they actually played against the Chiefs the last time. The Chiefs ended up actually having more run meters and more possession and territory than what the Crusaders had in that game. But the Crusaders,
but you see, Woude, you've got to. Sorry that I talk over you, and you're quite right. A lot of times you get misinterpreted by possession and territory. Remember, you look at the Blues; they've got the highest percentage of tackles of 88%. Is that because they have less possession, or that they're making more effective tackles, or does it mean that if you have less territory, that you necessarily the weakest team on the day, or is it the possession, the limited possession you have, that you actually turn that and capitalize that into points? So in other words, that's what's always made the All Blacks great. You give them 8 chances to score, and they will score 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah. But you give them 8 chances to score, and they score 7 out of 10 times. Great maths there.
No. But what I'm saying is they'll either put a drop kick over. They'll either score a try. They'll either get a penalty because they know how to choke you out of the game. And that's what I enjoy about the New Zealand sides. And you can even see the caliber and the quality of rugby, and the style of rugby has changed. You know, you watch South Africa play a kicking game with Faf de Klerk, with those high up and unders. There's none of that at the moment in the New Zealand competition. Yes, there is that kicking. Yeah, but they rather keeping ball in hand. They keeping ball in hand. Remember, a ball in the air is a lot more difficult for me to realign defensively, and that's why you don't see the rush defense at the moment being as prominent as it's been in the past World Cup, because teams are not able to realign and implement that rush defense.
Yeah, look, the new regulations at the breakdown is definitely opening the game up a lot more, because you can't take that risk anymore of being offside as a massive thing, because they're very hectic on the offside rule at the moment, or offside line. So I'm really enjoying this kind of rugby. But you are talking about the kicking. It's actually quite interesting, because the Crusaders have won. They've only lost the 1 game against the Hurricanes. And that's the only game that they had less kicks out of hand than in any other game that they've played. Every single other game against the Blues, Highlanders, the other game against the Hurricanes, and the game against the Chiefs, they had more kicks out of hand than the other game and the other team. Every single game, except the one that they lost against the Hurricanes. The one that they lost against the Hurricanes was also the one where their line-out percentage, their line-out was going at 66%. The previous time they played the Canes was 62%. So all of a sudden, their set pieces, their scrums have been 100% this entire competition, but their lineouts have really struggled. So now you've got your All Blacks hooker who can't get. So some of the matches, I think it was 82%, 92% for the other games. but then you've got 66% line out. And that's where they lost. I think for me, they struggled at their lineouts, and they were not disciplined enough because they conceded too many penalties against the Hurricanes.
Okay. For me, touching on hookers, seeing that I'm a hooker, Dixon, for me, from the Blues, is the best hooker at the moment in New Zealand rugby.
But there's so many hookers coming through. James Parsons is playing incredibly before he got injured. Amua is playing brilliantly now that Dane Coles couldn't play. He was really stepping up properly. Eklund from the Blues have really been stepping up. So I was really impressed with these younger hookers coming through and taking and showing them up. Really, I think. I'm quite impressed with them.
That reminds me of a young Dalton showing up fully Schmidt.
Oh my gosh!
So I had to put that in, me and my ego.
Of course you did. But you were
so
talking
listen,
about
let's talk about something like, I want to throw something out there, which I have to. I want to throw a stone in the bush and see what comes out. The situation currently with Chili Boy Ralapella being caught 3 times now for testing positive for steroids, and now is claiming that the testing processes and procedures that have been faulty or have flaws in it, and it's been a conspiracy against him. So now, why on earth would the drug testing organization, or whatever you call them, target Boy Ralapella? Please, pray tell, please, everyone comment on this.
Why? What do you
think?
Really,
it gets my back up so badly. And then the first time he tested positive, all the Springboks were given the same supplements by the same company, but only he's had a banned substance in.
Well, I don't think it actually worked like that. I think what actually happened there is I only tested
sounds like a Jacob's rumor. Where's the victim?
No, because I only tested 3 other players. So actually what happens in that whole situation, if one more player tested positive, so actually not tested, if they tested one more player in that whole thing, that whole tour would have been called off because they would have said that the whole team is doping. So I think if a certain number of players test positive, then they're kind of assuming that the whole team.
So maybe take accountability and accept when you're wrong, say I'm wrong.
Well, no. So for me, it's just once you can use that. No, you can use that excuse once. You can use the excuse once that there was stuff in your supplements. You cannot, because if I get caught once with stuffing in my supplements, I'm going to be. This is my livelihood. This is what I get paid for. This is what I do, and I'm not being more careful with what I take. I don't ask for people, are you 100% sure that there's nothing in this? Please, can you test it for me? And you just take random stuff that you don't even know what it is about. No, so I've got no sympathy for him. I don't care what he says. You don't do it 3 times, and then you still think like, oh no,
of course you do. Of course you do.
No. You don't do it 3 times.
I'm being sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic because you read the reports on him where he's playing the victim now. I mean, come on, we become that pathetic, you know.
No, so I'm not even going to try. No, so if you have to make the picks for this weekend, though, if you have to make your picks for the weekend, just quickly go through them. Brumbies, Reds.
I'll go Brumbies.
Okay. Force, Rebels. Chiefs, Crusaders.
Chiefs, Crusaders.
How much?
Highlanders, Blues. I'll go Blues. Is that it for this weekend?
That's it for the weekend. And then there's obviously Formula One on Sunday, but we don't have to talk about that right now. So
yeah, that's almost become so predictable. It's actually become boring as well.
They're moving to Silverstone.
We were talking, Mbolelo earlier. Sorry, I just wanted to try to digress a bit. We're talking about the sustainability of our sport, and I think lockdown has almost given us an opportunity to relook at all the competitions and press a reset button. And I think the way that sports needs to be structured, like you've got the NFL sharing a stadium with, I think it was Man City. I think you're going to have to look at more of those collaborations. Doc Late, even 20, 25, 30 years ago, said that they should build a smaller stadium, sell Ellis Park to the Chiefs, build a smaller stadium, but within those stadiums create restaurants, movie theaters, play parks, retail, so that you can have almost a family experience where the dad can go watch his rugby, drink his 3 pints of beer, mom and the kids can go have their fun, family can reunite, because I just think the world, things have changed and we need to think differently, because at the moment they're not sustainable, and you can,
Yeah, I think if you think back, and if you can remember that far back when you still played, I won't blame you if you can't. But if you think back on Currie Cup in that time, imagine, can you remember the whole experience when you go to a stadium? Like the players would interact with the kids, and there would be braais before the time, and everyone would be full, be packed. We've lost that, and I think you need to get that interaction back, and that's what they're doing in New Zealand now. There's a lot of interaction with the crowds, a lot of interaction with the kids, and it's making people wanting to go back to the stadium again. That's one thing. Other thing, they've created scarcity, so people want to watch rugby again. And the third thing is it's quality rugby. You're only getting quality games week in, week out. So if this is
you go look at the first time the Blues played again at Auckland Park. It was the first time that stadium had been sold out in 15 years.
Because people were craving watching
you've got to look at the game. Either make it smaller with more superstars.
Yeah. No. Scarcity,
or I just think maybe social media and...
Yeah. But I've been really like what the New Zealand teams have been doing now. I think it's been great because people want to go and kids are getting interested in watching and playing rugby again. So I hope when South Africa starts playing again, this is what we can get back. I don't know what they're going to do with the smaller unions. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm hoping but I've really enjoyed this. And I think our fans have also. So let's go into some of the questions, James, because I think there might be quite a few.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Yeah. Okay, Woude, do you think the Chiefs should go over to Australia and play there? Come on, I was just saying how much love I have for the Chiefs. You can't say, look, the Chiefs will probably win in Australia week in and week out. It will bring up their confidence, that's for sure. But I don't know. I can't. The Chiefs are not even my favorite team. The Chiefs, it's almost like, when you see a puppy at a pound when you want to go adopt, and you really do want to just adopt the most beautiful dog there, but then you see like the poor one with like one ear missing, and you just feel so sorry for them. But this is how I feel about the Chiefs. I feel so sorry for them, and I love them so much.
The one with the sad eyes, Woude.
Yes. I feel so sorry for them. What do we have next, Dave?
But I also need to understand the question of why the statement of should the Chiefs go and play in Australia.
No, because the Chiefs are so far behind the rest of the New Zealand teams, and the Australian teams are so crappy. Is it better for the Chiefs to rather go play in Australia?
Should beat any one of those teams.
Absolutely. Okay, James, here's one for you. What do you think of Woude's Springbok great selections? Not many from your era. Will you take the hooker spot? Okay, so every Wednesday, James, let me just give you a bit of background. Every Wednesday, I pick my best player from the respective World Cup wins. So from 95, 2007, 2019. So I've picked my fullback up until my scrum half. And I've only picked actually one player from the 1995 team up until this point. Okay. Most of my players have come out of the 2007. So that's why they're asking
you. And who was that player?
So at fullback, I picked Percy Montgomery. 14, I picked Cheslin Colby over JP Peterson. I picked on 13, Jacques Fourie. On 12, I had to go for Henny Leroux because I couldn't pick Jean de Villiers because Jean didn't play in the final. And then 11, I picked Yeah. So you can maybe give us a little bit more insight in Henny, because Henny was actually not a centre. He was actually a fly half. And he played up until I think the playoffs, he played a fly half. Anyway, 11, I picked Brian Abana, 10, Henry Pollard, and my 9, I picked Farida Priya over Jos van der Westhuizen.
Sure. Okay.
So what do you think?
I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't really disagree with you on your selections. Let's leave it at that.
Do you agree with me picking Percy Montgomery over Andre Joubert? Percy Montgomery over Andre Joubert?
Never, ever.
Exactly.
You can't even compare. You can't even compare the two players. With all due respect, Andre Joubert was not a kicker like Percy was known to be a kicker. Andre Joubert was a game maker, a game breaker, and he had an abundance of skill, and it was a very, very balanced rugby player. So if you want to talk about kicking, or you want to talk about an overall rugby player, then you'd have to go with the Rolls Royce.
But what I said is I think Percy adapted better, because Percy he started playing as a very flamboyant player. What I actually said is that his playing was as flamboyant as his hairstyles and his clothes off the field. But he adapted so well to having to play a boring game, because that's what they needed in 2007. So he knew I'm not going to get picked. I'm not going to get picked for the team if I'm going to try and run. What I need to do is I need to be good under the high ball, and I need to be able to kick. That's my role as a fullback. So that's why I thought he did brilliantly in that. Yeah, but James, do you think you'll get picked as my hooker on the field, not off?
Well, look, I think if you look at my World Cup, I mean, yes, I was sent off. I was I didn't complete the World Cup. And a lot of greats never won a World Cup. So I suppose we all have. Yeah, so we all have. It doesn't mean that you've won a World Cup that it makes you a great. Similarly, nowadays you can play 50 test matches and come off the bench. My generation, you had to be number 1 in the country to play for South Africa, and you ran up the tunnel and you ran back into the change room. There was none of this getting a cap off for 8 or 7 or 2 minutes. So, maybe I sound like a disgruntled older player, but
you said it.
Look, my generation with Mendes, Keith Woods, Phil Kearns, Fitzpatrick, and myself. And yes, the statistics at times showed that I was number 1 in the world. And I'd like to see how many South African rugby players can speak of the same opposition that I've spoken about. And, you get, and I'll say this with all respect, you get Bismarck du Plessis, who played 87 tests or something stupid. And I think he only ran out probably 10 times as a starting hooker. So, is it the number of tests you played, or how good were you?
Yeah.
What makes you a legend or icon of the sport today? Is it the number of tests, or is it how good you are or were on the field of play?
I will go look at your stats when we get to my hooker.
You do that. I was stealing more loose ball those days than they were today.
So, what do I have up next, Dave?
Say again.
Okay, what are your guys' thoughts on the refs clamping down on hostility in New Zealand Super Rugby? So, James, I don't know if you saw the article, I think it was posted 2 days ago or something, that Bryce Lawrence was saying that, the players are being hostile towards the referees and they're attacking the referees. And they were specifically referring to the Chiefs Blues game when the Chiefs scored the try, which I still think was a try. The referee didn't go up to the TMO to double check that, and it ended up being a penalty for the Blues, and they kicked it out and they won the game. So Anton Leonard-Brown, Aaron Cruden, and Sam Cane went to the ref and they said, why are you not going to the TMO, blah, blah. So now the refs are complaining about it. Now, in my opinion, if you're not doing your job and a player calls you out on not doing your job, you're not being hostile. So the referees need to start learning. The referees have been making a lot of mistakes in the Super Rugby. And I agree that the captain should be the one to talk to the referee, but at some points, that's also why you have a vice captain, and that's also why you have another senior player.
Look at it like this: when you play golf, you play it as it lays. Okay, so I think we've created our own monster with all the TMOs and the reviews and all this other bullshit. The game should be assessed in real time, and real-time decisions need to be made. And sometimes it will go your way, other times it won't go your way. But the referees, at the same time, they can be of the opinion that the players are hostile towards them. Yet, when they have been very, very poor and they haven't come out and taken accountability and responsibility, where...
I don't know if I can agree with you on that one specifically, James. This was literally a win or lose in a match. This was not a forward pass that just went out. This is not a knock-on. This is not a penalty. This is literally, the ball was already dead. So what was the actual reason for the referee to not go up to the TMO? None whatsoever, except the fact that maybe he likes the Blues more than he likes the Chiefs. Because in that situation... The ball is already over the line. The ball's already. So why do you not want to make a call? And then from the other side of that, we all know, and as a referee, you should know, if a guy tackles. So what happened was, could you tackle the guy? He had to release the player, go back in, stay on his feet, and retrieve the ball out with 6 people behind him pushing him. Nonsense that he stayed on his feet. But the referee did not go up to the TMO.
Yeah, but hang on. Okay, so I speak under correction, and I'd like to be corrected if I'm wrong. Okay, but the referees have also been told not to so often or not go up to the TMOs as often.
This is not with a knock-on. This is a try. This is literally to see if you're going to win or lose the game. There's absolutely, the referee has not come out to say why it didn't go up. The referees want to go up to the TMO when they were running down the sideline and seeing, maybe someone stepped out 50 meters behind them. Then they're okay to go up to the TMO, but not when they're on the line. Nonsense. I completely agree with the players.
Maybe at the interpretation of the team with the ascendancy going forward, putting the ball on the try line. Come on, man. You can't have your cake and eat it.
What would you have done if you were the player scoring that try and they didn't, and you know it's a try, but the referee decides no?
I would have claimed it.
So now you go to the referee and you say to the referee, I just scored that try. And now the referee turns around, I'm not going up to the TMO, but you need to stop being hostile towards me. Grow up.
Yeah.
If you can't deal with what the players are saying to you, don't be a referee.
I think we are creating, like, I wouldn't say our own monsters. There's just too many rules that are coming into the game. There's too many TMO interventions. The game has to just be played.
You're trying to talk about a completely different. You're trying to talk about a completely different situation here. So yes, when it's a forward pass, let it go. If it's like 1 millimeter forward, I don't care. When a team has scored a try and you decide not to go up,
it's no different. Anyway. A forward pass is a forward pass.
What's the next question? Because I'm not going to argue with you about this because I know I'm right. What's the next question, Dave?
What's the next question?
James, was there no doping in your squad? Very good question, Captain Jean. Jean?
Doping.
Was there no doping in your squad?
You know, can I be honest with you? You know, when you refer to doping is very scientific, okay? And it's very calculated. So when Ben Johnson was caught with stanzanol, in his system after he won the 100-meter race. And they still went to Carl Lewis and asked him, how do you feel about Ben Johnson breaking your world record? And he said, well, world records are there to be broken. And interestingly enough, what happened was he put not infected, but he put contaminated blood back into his system to increase the amount of oxygen before the race. And that's how. But now, if you look at my generation, okay, I mean, yes, my generation, I mean, we ate steak and chips before a game. We didn't lie on physio tables. We didn't climb into ice bars. So we didn't even go to gym. I mean, we only started like late 90s that gym became part of our training protocol. So where would we have been even doping? So everything has become more scientific now at the moment, even supplement-wise.
Do you think you're just unaware
if
of
there
what
was
going
doping? On? If there was doping, I wouldn't know about it. It's like if you had to ask me, was there match fixing in rugby? I don't know how the hell you're going to fix a match with 15 players. You know.
So were you just naive and ignorant and young that you didn't see what was really going on around you?
Well, look, I didn't walk around with my head up my ass, but if there was, then it would be incorrect for me to make a comment to say yes there was or yes there wasn't, because I don't know, and I was never exposed to it, and I never saw it.
Maybe you guys are using other stuff and not the scientific stuff.
It's called genetics. It's called genetics, Bodie.
I don't know. Okay, I agree with James that that 5 teams are necessary. The Western Force must just forget about Super Rugby. Senzo Satebe. So, James, so this is, I'm guessing you're agreeing with Senzo, but what do you think then should happen? Should they just form 3 teams and play like that in Super Rugby?
Look, I think New Zealand's 5 teams are good enough to be represented. I don't think Australian rugby should have more than 3 teams, and even South Africa. I think we, at the moment you've got the Lions and the Bulls that are going through transitional phases, but I just think that we should lessen the amount of teams. When we started this competition in the early 90s, it was called the Super 10. It was like a rock star. It was like a rock star thing. You went and there were the best possible players going to franchises that were participating in the competition. Now, at the moment, these players are fragmented all over the place. They might be individually good, but they're not playing in good teams, and they're not getting seen. And that's what people want to see. I mean, you look at the Premier League. I mean, if you look at the numbers being thrown around and what they spend on players there, that's why they get bums on seats, because people are seeing the best players and the best talent from around the world, regardless of nationality. And I really do think we need to review this whole competition. I've already said it's a competition that should have been reinvented 4 or 5 years ago. I still remember even like a Bonderdag, where you'd have your 6 top provincial teams go and play one day, all at Boet Erasmus or Ellis Park or whatever, and the public would be exposed to all the players, the best players from around the country. So I really do think that, yes, I think it's overdone, it's overcooked. I even think that having the Cheetahs and the Kings in the Pro 14 is a waste of time. I don't know. I don't see the gain of that. I don't see how you're giving them exposure, but they nowhere.
But James, wasn't the Bonderdag kind of where you play in the province that you were born? So say, even though you're playing for the Bulls, that's 100
That was the suggestion I made to you when we were having breakfast.
So you can't tell people we're going out for breakfast.
No, so what I was suggesting in that conversation is you have a bonded up format, but the
Yeah.
players then play for that team. So for the Lions, if I was born in Joburg, then I'll play for the Lions. If I was born in Province, I'd play for on that particular day.
That
And
will
I
actually
think
be
that
really
just
fun. Yeah.
that would just mix it up and make it so much different.
Yeah.
Where you've got all these players coming from playing for their team or their province where they were born, and having to bond and gel and be able to put on a spectacle and a performance that's going to have enough entertainment value. And I can tell you now, it will certainly pull the crowds.
No, I agree.
And
I agree.
and again, I think you also need to, this mafia control that Mnet has over rugby in South Africa, for me, is also is choking the game. I think you should have an American system where you have pay-per-view. Okay, you can generate more income for the sport. You can generate more income for the players. This mafia control that they have. I mean, I know the story of them in Nigeria, where they got the broadcast rights to broadcast, I think it was 14 or whatever games, and they only broadcast like 2 or 3. And that was only to keep the opposition out the game. So, there's a lot of things I think we need to relook at. I don't think, I don't think that there should be a dominance of any one particular broadcaster. I think we need to relook at the sustainability of the game. I think we need to relook at the competitions that are being played. And even if we only play New Zealand and Australia every 3 years, I think that would be amazing. I think that would be amazing. Come up with another format. Lift your skirt. Someone have balls enough to make a decision and give the people what they want. Because at the moment, it's like watching paint dry.
James, I feel like you're not really telling me how you really feel about this.
What do you mean?
I feel like you're trying to hide your real feelings behind whatever you're saying now, and you're really holding back. So don't you just want to tell me how you really feel about the broadcast?
I've always been controversial. So you know what? I think we should get to the point now where there's so much. Like at the moment with lockdown, everybody's looking for spooks and seeing spooks and having an opinion and feeling either offended or violated or excluded or not included or whatever. I think we need to get to a point in South African rugby where we abandon the Springbok for once and for all. We get rid of the green and gold as a color, and you know what? We start afresh, and you know what? Then there will be no more bullshit about currently playing and benefiting from that green and gold, that Springbok, but still having issues in terms of transformation that was, I believe, being very successful and winning a World Cup. So, there it is. I'll put it out there now.
So what emblem would you then use?
Waiting for you people to come back. So
what emblem would you then use? So what would you then want to call the national rugby team if they can't be called the Springboks?
Well, we come up with a new name. We maybe even have our own haka. We come up with a Impi Zulu dance before we play. Like the New Zealanders have their haka that symbolizes the entire New Zealand nation. Come on, guys. It's enough now. You know what? Press the reset button and let's change things. Let's stop sitting on the fence and I'm not going to say it, but let's stop licking each other's dicks. There we go.
If that's I want to know what you were going to say then, if that's what you came up with.
You know what I was going to say.
No.
No, but I think it's time we either embrace everything and unite. But we can't carry on and on with the same stuff. And every now and again, you see players coming out and they're going to talk about racism in sport. Then don't play. Don't be part of it. If it doesn't suit you and you find it a racist environment, then stay out of it. But don't sit on the upside, take all the money, drive the flashy cars, live in the flashy houses, and then still come with bullshit later. It just doesn't make sense to me. If I don't agree with something, I can tell you nobody will make me agree with it.
James, we are definitely picking up on this topic again the next time we have you on the show. We're going to finish off with one last question. Don't be surprised if the Blues or Canes win it all. Sends us a tebe. What do you think about that? You said that the Blues might win this. Your money on the Blues?
Yeah, my money's on the Blues. And yeah, why wouldn't I? I mean, we did say the Hurricanes.
No. To win the entire competition. This is not just the games for the weekend. To win the entire competition.
No, never, ever. No.
The Blues or the Canes? Do you think the Crusaders will still win?
Of course they will.
Okay.
They just have such a winning culture. They know how to win.
So last weekend was just a fluke against the Hurricanes, and the Crusaders will come back and take it all in the end. Wow.
We'll call it that.
Ladies and gentlemen, my gosh. Okay. I feel like I really just got you out of your shell in the last little. So keep this energy for the next time we have you on the show, James, please, because we will pick it up where we left it off today. And for now,
we want to make Cliff Central and the skip part. We want to make it the rock star sporting program. And that's what we're going to do.
There you have it.
If you don't like what we say, then don't listen to us. If you like controversy, then listen to us, because there'll always be a talking point. And we want to get it.
Well, James, thank you. That was the skip pass for today. I've got a lot to think about. I think we all have a lot to think about. That was a skip pass.
I'm sure I'm not going to be popular with some of those comments, but you know what? Life is not a popularity contest.
We're going to Mbolelo. Thanks, James.
Thank you. Much love. God bless, guys. Keep safe. Bye.
Life is not a popularity contest indeed. James Dalton. Huh? Great points there. So, folks, we'll see James again, hopefully very, very soon. 2 weeks. He'll be back. Let us know what you thought. I mean, some great points there, some great talking points on Woude's side, some great talking points on James' side. Explosive stuff, huh? Jeez. Really reserved guy, that Dalton guy. Hey, listen, World Cup winners medal. Guy knows what he's talking about. Love to know what people think about what James had to say. Some very, very great points. And there's a reason we call it a different ball game. Ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to be the best. And as James said, I'm with him, by the way. I appreciate everybody who's watching tonight. But if you got something better to do, listen, this is no gulag setting. Enjoy, be with us. Let's change the way sport is consumed. And what I love is the fans can get involved. By the way, if you would like to send us your videos and opinions and you'd like that to come up, why don't you send us 1-minute videos? And you can email them to me at it is content@cliffcentral.com, or ideally sport@cliffcentral.com. So that is sport, no S. sport@cliffcentral.com. If you want to send me 1-minute videos to all the fans, we want to know what your opinion. Do you have any questions? Send them in. We'll take videos of you and we will reward people. And every now and then we will have fans on. You'll get involved with some sport@cliff.com. Feel free to send your 1-minute videos and we will play those as a question format moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, James Dalton, Woude Muller, the Skip Pass, Cliff Central, a Big Shot Media, changing the game, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight. It has been a different ball game. Thank you for joining us.